Thank you for visiting Past the Wire TV, the YouTube channel of PastTheWire.com.
Dan Oman here with some exciting news. DRF Formulator, the gold standard in past performance information, is now free exclusively on DRF Bets. Join DRF Bets with the promo code WINNING. Get a $250 first deposit match bonus, a $10 free bet, and free Formulator already uploaded to your account. Access Formulator's premium features, including sortable trainer stats, race replays, personalized trip notes, and lots more. Free Formulator exclusively on DRF Bets.
Okay, everybody, thank you for attending the Past the Wire Belmont Stakes Day seminar. I think it's going to be a fun and interesting seminar. I think it's going to be a little challenging. And I think we're going to have some spots where we separate the men from the boys. Mute all participants. Yeah, maybe. I can't find it. I don't want to look for it now. And we'll get to all the questions about the field sizes and everything else in a few minutes. Let me start by saying this. When we do these webinars, seminars, whatever you want to call them, a lot of times I talk about on the big days, because we usually do it on like Derby Day and Breeders' Cup Day and days like that. And, I'll say big fields, big pools. There are certain rules that I play by and certain things that I follow over time that I think if you want to beat the game over time, you can't deviate from. But on these Derby days and these Breeders' Cup days with the big fields and the big pools, you can get away with it and deviate from those rules and come out okay. This is not one of those days. This is one of those days where you're really going to have to not only use your handicapping skills, but you're going to have to use your money management and your betting savvy and wagering savvy and wagering structure and ticket structure to give yourself the best chance to come out ahead. It's not a day you could fool around and be boxing all different horses and playing cowboy style tickets and things like that. And one of the things I found very entertaining was the reaction on social media in the horse racing community to the small fields. Everybody was like, oh, there's no opportunities. Oh, it's a terrible betting card. Oh, really nothing but negativity. I love the card, and I think there's a lot of opportunities, and I'll explain why. There are certain things in horse racing, okay, that are a lot of things really that are very subjective. They're matters of opinion, okay? You could have your opinion, I could have mine. I always tell people, trust your opinion more than anything else. And we'll get to that when we talk about the Belmont Stakes later. But there are certain things that really, when it comes down to it, are not subjective. They're objective. There's a right and wrong. You know, I mean, you could argue till you're blue in the face why today is Thursday, and you might even believe, well, isn't Thursday, and you might even believe it. But the fact of the matter is, you're wrong. It is Thursday, at least here in the United States. So one of the things that's objective and not subjective is that because you have small fields and because of the way the Belmont card shaped up, that it's a terrible betting card and there aren't a lot of opportunities. BS, that's wrong. Okay, and I'll explain why it's wrong. And that's not a matter of opinion. Okay, there are opportunities and it's a good betting card, and we'll get to that. And if you can't see that, I'm going to suggest you need to take a good, long, hard look at the way that you approach the game, okay? If you are a cowboy ticket player, and by that I mean you are completely roped in by the hype that the ADWs and the tracks give, the pick fours, pick fives, and pick sixes, and pick threes that we all love, but you can't watch TVG without the last three races on a card coming up and saying, oh, this is your last chance at a pick three. And there are a lot of people that play the pick threes, pick fours, and pick fives and sit back while they're alive and then start another pick three if and when they get knocked out, okay? Human nature is to use as many horses as you can and cash as many tickets as you can. That's innate to all of us. We all want to do that, okay? Bad approach. In the long run, you're going to get drowned out with cowboy tickets. What gives you an edge in this game is having an opinion, not being afraid to back it, and not being afraid to lose. Okay, we are all, everybody on this seminar, everybody that goes to Belmont on Saturday, everybody that plays at any ADW, we all have one thing in common. We are all gonna lose more than we win, and we're going to be wrong more than we're right. So the key is to negate that, to level that playing field. Okay, and I've written and said this many times, and those of you that have been on other seminars have heard it before. I can't say it enough. You have to be willing to cash less tickets but win more money. Okay, and by that I mean, Saturday is not a day to bet a 50-cent pick four or pick five using 3, 4, 5 horses in every race. Okay, you're putting yourself with the takeout, the sharks in the water, the computer bettors, and everything else, that all the intangibles. You're putting yourself behind the 8 ball before your horses even leave the gate. Okay, you almost can't mathematically win. So you have to be able to say, you know what? I'm going to take a shot in this race. I'm only going to use this horse or these 2 horses. And yeah, I know there's other horses in there that can beat me, but if Saturday is not my day, there's another day that will be. This is a marathon. This is like the Belmont Stakes, 1.5 miles. This is not a 5 furlong on the turf or a 6 furlong on the dirt sprint where we got to win today, okay? The other thing that a lot of people don't realize is, okay, by taking that approach, you're giving yourself a better chance to win today. When you're right, you want to make it count. You don't want to have it for 50 cents. You want to have it for $5 or $10, okay? And let's say you're the kind of player that's, and it doesn't matter whether your bank goes 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, okay? If you're the kind of player that wants to go into a sequence with $100 bankroll and you say, okay, I'm going to bet a 50-cent pick four and I'm going to use, 3 by 4 by 4 by 4, whatever. And there's my $100. Okay. The horrible approach, horrible money management. Okay. You got to get away from that mindset. All right. There is nothing wrong with taking that same 100. Okay. Watching a bunch of races, and the race where you like a 3 or 4 or 5 to 1 shot, taking that 100, betting 75 to win, and 2 $10 or 2 $15 or 2 $10 exactas. Bang. And if you're right, you made your 1,000, your 600, your 800. Probably the same thing you would have got back on a 50-cent pick four if you hit it and it paid well. Probably it ain't even going to pay that much on a 50-cent bet if some of these favorites win on Saturday. So who's the smart guy? The guy betting that, 50-cent Cowboy ticket or the guy who waits and takes his shot with the $100 and bets that one horse he likes at 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 8 or 10 to 1. Who knows what the price might be? That is a much better money management approach. Okay. And you have to embrace that. And it's hard. I'll be the first to admit it is hard to be patient. I learned it the hard way. I used to play for a living. Okay. So I couldn't afford to make dumb mistakes. I couldn't afford to chase. I had to put myself in a position to not only win, but to win enough to sustain myself and live a decent lifestyle. Can't chase, can't do that, can't play those cowboy tickets. Gotta be patient. And I would sit at the racetrack many a day, and whether I had 500, 1,000, and there are days and there are people, friends of mine out there that'll tell you that are on this seminar, I'd sit at the racetrack with 30, 40,000 in my pocket, not make a bet if I didn't like something. Okay. I'd wait and take my shot. But when I did bet, I bet hard. I went hard and I tried to make it count. And when I was right, I did make it count. And what you realize once you do that, okay, is that it only takes one or two. Like I said to somebody on Twitter, they were like, "Oh, there's no opportunities. There's all these short fields." I said, "Only takes one. You got to be right in one spot." Well, let's say you bank those $50, okay, and you bet 30 to win on a 6 to 1 shot, and he wins, and you bet a cold $10 exacta, him on top of the right second horse, and a cold $10 triple, 1, 2, 3, bang, $50. If you're right, you get paid. If you're wrong, you don't. That's always part of the equation. But if you're good and you know how to bet, you give yourself a much better shot of making that score. And those scores are out there on a day like Saturday, just like they are on a day like Derby Day, where you got 10, 12 horse fields all over the place. Okay. Those days, you can kind of get away with the 50-cent cowboy ticket and maybe get lucky. It's still a bad long-term strategy. And over time, I guarantee you, if that's how you bet, you're coming out in the red every year. Okay. You're not coming out in the black like the very few small percentage of the players do. And why do you think that percentage is so small? Because like I said in the beginning, human nature. I want to use this horse. I want to use that horse. Oh, I can't leave this one out. Oh, I can't leave that one out. Perfect example. We're going to talk about the Met Mile. If you like Flightline, you single Flightline. If you don't like Flightline, you bet the other horses you like and you don't use Flightline. If you're using Flightline and 2 or 3 other horses, you're not betting smart. You're not giving yourself long term the best chance to win and make money. And that's what it's all about, getting in that small percentage of players that beat this game. Okay. And it's a hard thing to do. So with that, we'll get into the card and talk about the races. I've got some strong opinions. I've got one really strong opinion, maybe 2 really strong opinions, and I'm going to back them. Okay, I'm not. I don't hedge. I never hedge. I don't believe in hedging. Hedging is maybe for the stock market, which I don't play, or for other games. Not for horses. I don't bet against my opinion. Okay, and I suggest to all of you that you don't bet against yours. All right. My seminars that I do are not to tell you who to bet. Yeah, I'm going to tell you who I like and who I'm going to bet and why. But if you have another opinion, you have to believe in yourself. You have to get good enough to believe in yourself and not be afraid to back your opinion. Okay, to say, you know what, this is who I like. I'm willing to bet my money and do it. I like to say, I'm a second set of eyes. I'm somebody who's beat the game for a long time, played it hard for a long time. And I love to share my experience and the way that I approached it and the way that I was able to beat it with people, because I think it encourages people to get involved and gives them a better shot to win. So with that, we're going to cover 6 races. We're going to take questions. I'll take questions after, on anything you want. I said we're going to have a Q&A on the Belmont and an AMA, which I didn't know until I got invited to one, but I was invited to an AMA a month or 2 ago, and I didn't know what it was. I had to Google it. I'm like, what the heck is an AMA? It means ask me anything. So I'll give you an opportunity. You can ask me anything, but we'll get to that at the end. The young people probably know that. Old people probably don't. I had no idea what it was, but AMA, if you get invited to going forward, now you know it's ask me anything. So we'll get to that. First race that we're going to talk about is the Ogden Phipps. And one of the reasons I say, and this is a sad thing to say, but I'm going to say it because I don't really like to sugarcoat anything. One of the reasons I think that there's just a lot of great betting opportunities on Saturday is because of the quality of the fields and the stake races. All right. Our game, unfortunately, has evolved to a sport where we're going to see a lot of these small fields. And on a Wednesday with $16,000 maiden claimers or 12.5 maiden claimers, there's a lot more crap that shouldn't go on that goes on than there will be on Saturday in some of these grade one races. That's a cold, hard fact of life, unfortunately. It's just the way the game is. So me, I like to have the best shot possible. I think on a level playing field, I could play this game as good or better than anybody out there. I think I've proven that over the years. So you give me these grade one races when I know everybody is in there trying and the playing field is a lot more level and people are watched a lot closer. I'll take that over, a Wednesday or Thursday, any day of the week. And the big pools and the recreational money in those big pools is a tremendous help to the savvy players and to everybody on this show. I think the people that gravitate to my seminars are those kind of players that want to just, improve or, be able to bounce ideas off each other and hear somebody else's opinion. Because in today's digital age, everything is digitalized. Okay. We're on the phones, we're betting from home. We're not at the track anymore, talking to people whose opinions we respect, at least not often, not like it was every day, years ago. Some of you remember that, some of you don't, but different world. So I think these seminars are great for that, giving us the opportunity to do that. Like we were at the track, you see somebody at the track, it's good. You could bounce something off them. We could do that here. And I try to do that with the people on tracking trips as well. Things get started they get started really today. Friday, they've got some big races too. But in the races we're going to cover the pick six that ends in the Belmont. I guess it's the regular. Does it even start there? Where does it start? Yeah, it starts in the sixth race, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So yeah, okay. Starts in the sixth race, the Woody Stevens, 7 furlongs on the turf, on the dirt. At first look, Jack Christopher looks, he's 1-2 on the morning line and looks like tough to beat. No question. But the more I looked, and you may lose my picture for a minute because I want to get my form up here. So bear with me. I like to be able to see the form while I'm talking. I used to be able to do this off memory. Those days are over. And they're not coming back. At first look, Jack Christopher, he won that race off the layoff on Derby Day to Pat Day Mile. Couldn't have looked more impressive. He absolutely looks like the top choice. He absolutely looks like the horse to beat. But, one of the things that I look at and pay a lot of attention to, okay, are trips. Okay. When we get to the Belmont, we're going to talk about that because the trips are really what landed me where I landed. But from the rail going 7 furlongs, I worry a little bit. Okay. And there's a horse in there who is probably going to be a big price and probably going to be overlooked. And I'm a little afraid to leave him out. I'm going to have to go too deep in here. I'm going to use Jack Christopher, but I'm also going to use Provocateur on the outside. I know he got beat last time in a race. I thought he should have won. He didn't. I liked him in the Hutchinson. I liked him in the race in Tampa when he ran second. But I just think he's developing a little late. He's third off the layoff. He's got a nice outside spot with Saez. I think he's really going to like the 7 furlongs, even though he lost to Tampa going 7. I think he's going to like the 7 now. I think he gets the right trip. And if the rail and the second off the layoff kind of hurts Jack Christopher a little bit, maybe this horse can jump up and sting him. I don't like Papa Cap. Wit, I remember when Wit was a 2-year-old, people were talking about him like a Derby horse. I never thought he was that kind of horse. I always thought he was an off the pace kind of sprinter. I still think that. I don't think he's the quality of Jack Christopher, although he's a nice horse. Morello is a question mark. If you want to use him, I wouldn't talk you out of him. I don't trust him. I don't think he beat horses that are as good as Jack Christopher. The next horse that intrigues me a little bit, I'm not going to use him, but he intrigues me, and I did like him last time, is Chasing Time. And he was finishing full of run. He was wide and coming too late, and I bet him, he puts blinkers on. He didn't get up for me then. I'd hate to lose to him on Saturday, but I'll gamble on it and say that the other 2 horses are faster and leave him out. So I'm going to start off using 2 horses, Jack Christopher and Provocateur. And I have the luxury in the pick 6 and the pick 5 of going a little deep in some spots because I'm narrow late. So that helps a lot. When you narrow late, it gives you a little bit more room early. Now, granted, this is not a day to go deep, and I'm in a position where I've got a strong opinion in the Belmont Stakes. I don't think the horse that I like is going to be favored. So if I get knocked out of some of these pick 4s and pick 5s, I could make a nice bet in the Belmont and save the day, so I'm not all that worried about it. Second leg, we got another small but stellar field. You got a 6-horse field to start it off. Okay, we got 5 horses next in the Ogden Phipps. Another heavy favorite, Latruska, however you say it. Believe it or not, my opinion, and I've watched this mare since she first come to Florida and win the Caribbean Classic race that she won. Fausto Gutierrez has done a fantastic job with her. She's been superbly managed, but I've got an opinion about her that might be a little contrarian to some. I think she's actually a better horse around 2 turns than 1. And a mile and a 16th at Belmont, as we all know, is 1 turn. Okay. She already lost a race at Belmont. She's 1 for 2. So she handles it. I mean, she handles everything. She won this race last year, but I don't think it's her favorite racetrack. And I don't think one turn is her best game. I think she's better when she's allowed to go a little slower and relax around 2 turns. Now, that said, there's not a lot of speed in here to chase her. It comes down to what does Irad, Jose's brother, want to do on search results, because I think he's the only one that could maybe hit her early or stay close to her early or, make her have to work a little early. And I think if that does happen, then she becomes very vulnerable late. And I've seen all the tough races that she's gutted out, but I bet against her in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. I had a feeling she'd get beat that day. I bet against her last time. I bet Clairiere, and I like Clairiere again. And I just don't think Clairiere had a good shot the way the race set up. It was 2 turns. She was able to waltz around there on the lead by herself, uncontested. She may do that again, but I got some possibilities, from the rail. If she doesn't get out so good and search results, comes out of those shorter races, has a lot of speed.
Yeah.
Maybe she can get softened up, and if that happens, I think Clairiere can definitely win. I think Clairiere is sitting on a big year. Okay. I think she's a lot more talented than she showed last year. I think she really came out at the end of the year. In the race at Parks, she was huge. And in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, she was even more huge. Although she was 4th, She was super wide and super far back. And, she comes back as a first-time 4-year-old. She's a curling. We know they develop late. Uh, I really think she's sitting on a big race, and I really think she's going to be a top filly throughout the year if she stays healthy. And I think we'll see her best race on Saturday. She's a must-use to me, and I'm going to even go as far as to say she's my top choice. I'm scared of Latrushka, absolutely. Uh, I have a way of betting where I'll bet 2 tickets. I'll bet, and some of you know this already. I'll bet my main ticket where I'll use a lot of horses or all the horses I want to use, never cowboy style. Even my big tickets are what most people would consider short, but and then I'll have a go back ticket. So the go back ticket will just be Clariere. So in the first leg, I'm going to use Jack Christopher and Provocateur. Like I said, there's no go back there. I'm using them both equally. The next race, I'm going to use Latrushka. I'm going to use Search Results. I'm going to use Malathat, and I'm going to use Clariere. It's a lot of horses. Okay, sounds dangerous, but I'm going to go back at Clariere. So if my top choice wins, I'm in good shape. But I'm not going to get knocked out in that race because I just see that as a race. Not going to single Latrushka, and I know I talked about Flightline. Flightline is going to be a lot shorter than Latrushka, and it's a different kind of race. So yeah, I don't think you can use Flightline and anybody else. Latrushka, I think you can get away with it here, and that's how I'm going to say it. I'm going to play it. I'm not going to play Bonnie South. I think she's got too much to do in here. Dangerous to leave one horse out. I do that. I'm notorious for it. It has burned me several times. It has made me look like a genius just as many times. You know, I don't bet all, and I don't, use horses that I don't think can win just because, well, I'm using so many, I got to use all. And like I said, it's burned me. I'm a big boy. I'm willing to play it that way. The race that's really going to separate everybody is the Jaipur. Okay. This is a race, I'll tell you right now, if you were going to use all, if you're an all user, this is a race you can use all. All right. I'm going to go through the whole field and give you my thoughts on everybody. It won't take that long because I think it is just as wide open a race as you can find. I've got a couple of horses that are big prices that I think are sitting on big races and intriguing and are must uses. But again, there's nobody you could say to me, with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 horses, hey, can this horse win? And I'll tell you no. So we'll run down there. I don't particularly like the one Change of Control, but in a race that I'm spreading and I'm deep and I really don't know who's going to win, I hate leaving out a horse that's 1-for-1 over the course or the track. This horse is 1-for-1 on the Belmont grass. That always scares me. I don't like him. I'm not going to use him, but I wouldn't talk you out of it if you are so inclined. Omaha City, I can't get to. If I was going to go all, I would still take this horse out and not go all and let him beat me. I can't get to him. If he wins, I don't. True Valor. True Valor is a horse I made some big bets on way back when, thinking that he was sitting on some big races. I'm pretty sure I even used him at Santa Anita in the Breeders' Cup Mile when he was 21-1 to Uni, Chad Brown's filly that won that year. I think I only used him and Without Parole. So I always thought well of him. I think he's improved since he went from Simon Callahan to Graham Motion. I think he's a use. I think you got to respect him. I think that he can come off the pace. He can sit close to the pace. He doesn't really have a set running style. I think you can use him. Casa Creed is another one I think you can use. He's always been a very hard horse to gauge. I can tell you this. He does have a race in him. his best race can win this for absolute certainty. He's got some races where he finishes really fast and really good. Problem with him is there's always been inconsistency, and you never know when he's going to give you that last powerful furlong. He's not a horse that feels like giving you that every time he goes to the racetrack. But when he does give it to you, he's dangerous, and he gets Luis Saez back. You know, I forgive those Middle Eastern races. A lot of horses don't go there and do that well. He did run good there. And now he comes back to Belmont where he's 2 for 3. Absolute, horse that I think you got to use. Arrest Me Red is going to be the favorite. This is the kind of race you spread and go deep, and a horse like Arrest Me Red wins it at 5-2 or 2-1, and it's disgusting. It can happen. I mean, I don't particularly think he's a good favorite, but he can certainly win the race, and he's going to be the favorite. But if he wins and a lot of the other favorites win, I mean, this is a race you really want to try and beat the favorite if you can. Grays Creek, I find interesting at 30-1, believe it or not. Puts blinkers on. Paulo Lobo is an excellent horseman, and a really, really, really sharp guy and a good guy. And if you want to get to know him a little bit, I interviewed him before the Breeders' Cup on Past the Wire TV. And it's probably one of my favorite interviews that I ever did with a trainer. And I actually made him cry. His story is phenomenal. Make a long story short, he was driving Uber a couple of months before he ran those horses in the Breeders' Cup that year. That's how down on his luck he was. And here's a guy who won the Kentucky Oaks years ago with Farmer Amiga, Fada Amiga. But he was really driven out of the game for a while, and his resiliency got him back. And now he's got some nice horses. He's got those OXO horses that spend a fortune. Larry Best spends a fortune on horses, and he's really doing great with his horses. And he's an excellent horseman. He's trying something different with this horse. He's sprinting, putting blinkers on. Gaffleone is a strong finisher in a race that I think is wide open, and something fluky could happen late. I don't want this horse to beat me flying on the outside. So he's a throw-in for me at a big number for sure. The 7, what makes Sammy run, is a horse that I liked last time, didn't run at all. I question the move of Barnes from Mark Glatt into this new barn. I don't know what happened, but I do think this horse is sitting on a big race. He didn't get to show it last time, but he broke from the 13 hole, and look who takes the call. Flavien Prat takes the call for a relatively unknown barn on a horse that he won with 2 times back at Santa Anita. So he knows the horse. He's riding this horse for an unknown guy. Ron Anderson doesn't take not live calls I'm sorry, not Ron Anderson. Pegram doesn't take not live calls for Flavien Prat. They think this horse is live, and so do I. He's also 1-for-1 at Belmont. So you're going to get Pratt at a big price. And how many times on these days do you find yourself sitting there saying, look at this Pratt at 20-1. How did I let that one get away? Or look at this Todd Pletcher at 25-1. How did I let it? It happens on big days. This is a horse is a must use for me. I'm not going to use Scuttlebuzz. He makes sense. He's 3 for 6 at Belmont. I just don't think he's as good as some of these other horses. I mean, I respect his record. He's got a nice running style for the race. But I just don't think he's as good as some of these horses. He's 7 for 17. He likes to win. There's a lot to be said for him. He's second off the layoff. All positives. I'm not talking anybody out of him. I just don't think he's as good as some of the other horses we're talking about. So he's not going to be on my tickets. He can dangerously knock me right out of all the gimmicks. I don't believe in Mark Cassie's horse, Filo di Ariana. Not for me. Maybe he can do it. I don't think so. I don't like Smokin' Jay. Is another one that likes the track, has a good running style, but I just think some of the others are better than him. The other horse I think is sitting on a really big race and is an absolute must use, and I think is going to be there, is the 11, Chasing Artie. Terrible start last time. I throw out the race completely. I give him a big shot coming to Belmont. Johnny's riding him. I think he's well drawn in the 11 hole. Absolute must use to me. Will be on my ticket. Gia Jockey, probably capable on his best race from the 12 hole. I don't like him. Can't get there. I'm going to throw Gregorian Chant in. Like I said, this is a deep race for me. I got a lot of long shots. I'm hoping one of them can do it. I didn't think he had the best trip last time out at Churchill Downs. I thought he was dangerous in there. He gets a little bit more ground here, from 5.5 to 6. I think that's going to help him. He's 3 for 4 at 6 furlongs. He's a heck of an off the pace sprinter. I think, Rosario fits him very, very well, even though he didn't win with him last time. I think he's going to be coming. And I don't think the 13 post hurts him that much because he's going to drop way back and make a run. So how much is that really going to hurt him? That's my thoughts on that race. The Met Mile, I wanted so bad to be contrarian in this race. And I was sure in my mind going into it that I was going to be, because I wasn't sure Flightline was even going to make the race. You don't need me or any inside information to know that Flightline has some issues. Okay. He wins by open lengths, 10 plus lengths every time he runs, and he can hardly make it to the racetrack. They thought about running him once. The plan was to run him once before the Met Mile. They couldn't do it. They said minor hiccup. How minor? We don't know. They're keeping it quiet. I've heard stories since the day he hit the racetrack that he's got bad feet, and they, do what they can to put his feet together and hold his feet together. But, on paper, he absolutely looks too fast for these. Nobody can go with him. Nobody can threaten him. Nobody could run with him. And he looks like he's absolutely supposed to win the race. Okay. Here's the negatives, and then there are negatives. And when you're talking about a 3 to 5 or a 2 to 5 shot, you really don't want negatives. At least I don't. But like I said, I wanted to be against him, and we'll talk it through. Okay. Here are the negatives. John Sadler, although he won the Breeders' Cup Classic with Accelerate, has always had a reputation and has always had statistics. And I'm not a big stat guy, but he's never been as good out of California as he is in California. Coincidence? I don't believe in coincidences. The horse is obviously not a sound horse. Will he be all right Saturday? Yeah, maybe. I won't be surprised if he scratches. I mean, he's that ouchy from what I can see just looking at him. Okay. His last couple of works look great. One thing I will say is a lot of people say that, oh, well, he won under wraps. He could have won by 20 and ran even faster. That's not really true. That's another big, big, big falsehood when it comes to racing. And the late, great Bobby Frankel explained that to me once at Saratoga when I was having a conversation with him about when horses win under wraps and everybody thinks that they won so easy. He's like, he went 121. He went 108 and change. Yeah, he was under wraps and easy. What do you think he's going to run? 105? You know what I mean? If they let him run, they done. Even though it looks easy and they're under wraps, horses can only run so fast, So he ran fast. He could not have run much faster. If he would have set him down, he would have worked a little harder and maybe ran a tick quicker. But not as much as people think, He, even though he won so easy and won under wraps throttled down, he was like, oh, he could have won by 20. No, he could have maybe won by 12 or 13, not 20. It's not as big a difference as people think. So Flightline on paper is not supposed to lose this race, but you're taking a horse that hardly gets to the races. It's his first start at 4. They already missed a start with him. The problem just is that you can't find anybody that's fast enough to really challenge him, and if he falters, it becomes the kind of race that obviously Speaker's Corner can win. Speaker's Corner is going to probably be sitting second, stalking him, hoping to get him. I don't think he can stay with him unless he completely sacrifices himself, or unless, Flightline breaks really bad. Now, the second thing is, the rail at Belmont going that 1-turn mile is not the ideal spot for Flightline to be either. He broke a little slow into Malibu. If he breaks slow and they come over on him, he gets bottled up, something happens, I know Pratt pushes all the right buttons. There were issues with him. There were definitely issues with him. He's a strong single. He's going to be everybody's single. I'm probably going to wind up singling him, but I'm not going to make up my mind until game time, really, until it comes time. And, I'm going to watch how things are going on Friday, watch how things are going early on Saturday. But it's people trying to get in. They should be able to get in on their own. It says 2 people are in the waiting room. Admit. They should be in. Okay. I apologize. So that's my, and everybody that's on here and anybody that missed it, don't worry, you're going to get a link to a replay later tonight. So don't worry about that. So if you miss anything, don't worry about it. So Speaker's Corner is going to be the one chasing him. Like I said, I don't think he can go with him unless he completely sacrifices himself. I don't think that Junior Alvarado is going to do that. I think he's going to ride the race to win. Aloha West, Breeders' Cup Sprint winner, needed the last race, never been at Belmont, never really been this long. Can he jump on and run a big race? Absolutely. Happy Saver is 3 for 4 at Belmont. Looks a little short for him. I think, he would have looked a lot better in the Brooklyn or in some of the other races, but Todd runs him here, knowing he was going to face Flightline. I guess if things get fluky and the race falls apart, which is not impossible, maybe, but the Met Mile usually doesn't fall apart. The Met Mile is usually quality horses pointing for the race, and they usually run fast and hard the whole way, and they gut it out. So, Happy Saver would really need something fluky to win. Informative, if he wins, I think it's as big an upset as the horse that won the Kentucky Derby, Rich Strike. I can't see that happening under any circumstances. So I'm probably going to single Flightline and keep my fingers crossed, but he's not a 3 to 5 or 2 to 5 single. I'm going to sit there and say, you know what, this should be a free square. I don't believe in free squares. And if I did, as short a price as he's going to be, and as good as he looks on paper, I would never call Flightline a free square. He's not sound. He's got issues. He doesn't make it to the races often. And he's coming to a new track for a trainer that doesn't do well outside of his home base. I don't like that many questions and that many ifs on a 2 to 5 shot. My problem is I just on paper can't get. I wish I could. I want to get past him in the worst way. I can't do it. So it's a dilemma race for me. I'm probably going to say, you know what? I'm going to go with what I see. I'm going to go with the works. They look great. Okay. He's right now. Let's hope he's sound right now. Let's hope Sadler's got him right now. And he just annihilates the fielder. But if he stops on the dime, if he breaks bad from the inside, if somebody beats him, I may lose, but I won't be shocked. I won't be shocked. I think, as good as he looks on paper, he's a dangerous single because you're betting on a horse that's not sound and has trouble getting to the races. The last 2 races are singles for me. I've got 2 very strong opinions. And I want to be real clear about one of them. Most of if you were on the Kentucky Derby seminar, Adamo let me down big time in the Turf Classic. And it was a shame because the only horse I was really worried about, well, I was worried about 2 scenarios. I was worried about the other Chad horse, Tribuhan, going wire to wire on a soft, wet type of turf course. It was supposed to rain. There was given the ground that day. I was very worried about that. And I was worried about Santin, who was a tracking trips horse and who I was very high on earlier. But I liked Adamo. I followed him in France. I knew about him. I watched a lot of his replays when Chad brought him here and he ran in the fairgrounds race. I thought it was a horrible ride by Jose Ortiz. I thought he ran about 50 yards further than anybody else in the race. Midway through the race, I thought I had no shot. I thought he had no shot. He was cold on the board that day too, but I bet him anyway. And he came flying late and just missed. And I was like, wow, what a horrible ride. I don't bet horses because I bet him last time out. I bet him on Derby Day because I liked him. I thought he was going to benefit off that race. I thought he was going to go forward, and I thought Pratt was going to ride him better. And he made a move, but he just didn't really have any kick. Okay, going back to the Ogden Phipps. For the tracking trips people, you'll all remember that I loved search results when she won last time out off a bad race. I like betting horses off bad races under the right circumstances. Okay. And what I put in tracking trips that day is, search results. It looks like she had no excuse, but yet Chad Brown comes back in a spot like this off a bad race where she just didn't have no gas in the tank at all, nothing to offer. He doesn't do that. Shug doesn't do that. I remember I bet Code of Honor in the Fountain of Youth big at like 9-1 because he ran bad at a race in Florida and Shug brought him back there. And my thought was, he doesn't bring a horse back in a spot like this. Those guys back off. They take an easier spot. When they don't back off, it tells me there's a legit reason the horse didn't run that good. I know Adamo can run from watching replays in France and watching this horse in France. I know he ran on some very heavy rain-soaked, bogged courses in France last year. I thought he liked the firm course at the fairgrounds. Maybe there was more given it than I realized at Churchill. That might have hurt him a little bit. He did take money that day. I expect him to take money on Saturday, and I think we'll see Adamo, and I think that he will be one of the better turf horses at 1.25 miles this year as the year progresses. Domestic spending, I think, is coming back. Who knows how that'll work out and if he's going to come back as good as he left, but I think this horse might take his place and be a force going forward, and he's an absolute single for me. I think he turns the tables on Santin, and I don't think that Gufu is as good as him if he runs his race. I like that Pratt sticks with him. The low buyer and the loss last time as the favorite has got him 4-1 on the morning line. I hope I get that. If I do, that would be a nice win bet and some exactas for me. I love betting win. I love making big win bets. I love betting ice cold exactas, and ice cold to me is, and I don't know who I'm going to use second yet, but let's say for argument's sake, it was Santin, okay, or it was Gufu or something. I bet 4 to win, and I bet 4-2 cold. Gufu said, that's it. I don't bet 2-4. I don't reverse. I don't use a bunch of other horses second. That's ice cold. When people, bet 6 different exactas and hit it and say they have it ice cold, no, you didn't have it ice cold. You hit it, but you didn't hit it ice cold. Ice cold is boom, 4, whoever you like second. So I'll probably bet the 4 to win and bet, an ice cold exacta. I might bet 2 exactas if the prices are good enough and he does go off 4-1 and they're paying that good. But that's an absolute single for me. I'll talk briefly about the rest of the horses because those who don't believe in him might have other opinions. So I'll give you my opinions on the other horses in that race. La Imperator, another Chad Brown runner, won last time on the lead. Nice horse, but looks a cut below the better ones in here to me. Gufu, rock solid, grade 1 horse, definitely capable on his best day. I just think, Adamo is better than him if he runs his best race and can beat him. So that's that. Tokyo Gold, intriguing kind of horse. Might be somebody I look at for second. Don't think he's good enough to win. Don't think he's as good as Adamo. Christian DeMuro is an excellent rider. He's coming here to ride him. He obviously thinks he can win. He's a really good rider. His brother Mirko DeMuro is another good rider. Both of those guys could ride. He's ridden his horse in France where he rides regularly. He's a French rider. I think he won the Arc for Peter Brandt a year or two ago too. So he can ride. But I just don't think this horse is as good as the horse that I like. But he is a horse at 30-1 that can definitely get into the gimmicks, in my opinion. Adamo, I told you, I like a lot. In Love, I respect Paulo Lobo. We spoke about him. I encourage you to watch that interview. It's a great interview. It's on Past the Wire TV. I got a section there for interviews. You scroll down to the Breeders' Cup last year. There's a lot of great interviews on there. Some good ones with Chad Brown, great jockey ones, but this one is worth checking out, man. And I guarantee you'll like Paulo Lobo afterwards, and you'll know what kind of horseman he is as well. In Love, I'm not sold at the distance. So he's a pass for me. Rock Emperor is another Chad Brown horse, kind of an in and outer, been more of a disappointment than a winner. I think he's a cut below the better ones and a cut below the horse I like. Trib Huvan, I could never say this horse's name. I got a mental block with it. I was afraid he would go wire to wire or could go wire to wire last time. I always fear that with this horse. He takes big leads. Sometimes he forgets to stop. I always worry about him, but like I said, I like the horse that I like, and I'll stand where I stand. Highland Chief, what a shame. Last time, I think I put it on tracking trips. I thought he's way better than his 19, 20-1 odds, and I didn't capitalize on it, and he won. And it kind of irked me. So he can run. He's a nice horse. He's another one that I would consider for second. I don't think he's beaten the horse I like, but he's one that can run for second. I've been high on Santine since I first saw him, which was not at Indiana. I saw him win at Keeneland with Pesquisa. I thought he had a hell of a shot at 17-1 in the Hollywood Derby, almost won it. Didn't get the best of trips 2 times, then won at Churchill Downs. When I bet Adamo, he won at 7-1, and you know, that cost me dearly with a horse that I got a lot of respect for. But I think I'll get my revenge on Saturday, so we can live with it. Channel Maker, we all know on his best day, he can do some damage. I think he's a little inconsistent now. He's 8 years old. I mean, dangerous, but I'm happy where I am. So leads us to the big one, the test of champions, the Belmont Stakes. I got a very strong opinion here, and if you watch replays like I do and take notes, I don't know how you get past Mo Donegal. I'm hoping he's not the favorite. I'm hoping they make We the People the favorite. I think it's Mo Donegal's race to lose. And I'll tell you this, it's probably my strongest opinion on the day. You know, all roads lead to Mo Donegal for me. Any which way I dice and slice this race. If you watch his replay, you know, it reminds me of Code of Honor. Code of Honor, if you watch the Derby replay, okay, I always said, you know, and I made a score on Code of Honor when he won the Travers, and I remember I was in the paddock for the Travers at Saratoga, and I forget who it was, but somebody from one of the now somebody saw me that knew me and interviewed me on for either TV or the internet or whatever the heck it was. They asked me who I liked. I said, Code of Honor. Can you tell us why? I said, well, I handicapped that I liked them. And I said, and you know, a lot of people think I'm crazy, but if you watch the replay of the Kentucky Derby, if it didn't rain and he wasn't on the rail, he probably would have won the Derby. And guy looked at me like I had 2 heads, but if you watch the replay, I believe that. If you watch Mo Donegal's Derby replay, okay, there's no way you could watch that replay in my mind and bet Rich Strike. Can't do it. If you know, maybe Stevie Wonder could do it or Ray Charles. I mean, no disrespect to anybody, but I don't see how anybody else could do it. He ran about 100 yards further and was finishing very, very good. Okay. Now, transfer to, what is it, 5 weeks later, whatever it is, 1.5 miles, a small field. What do you got in the belt? Well, 8 horses as opposed to 21 in the 20 in the Derby. Okay. Irad from the rail, took him to the outside, took the overland route, turning for home. He was probably closer to Keeneland than he was to Churchill Downs. I mean, it was ridiculous, the trip that this horse had. He ran so much further than the winner that I don't see how you could watch the race where the winner come out of the 21 hole, moved inside, the seas parted like the Red Sea, everything went right, perfect storm, boom, he comes up the rail and win. Mo Donegal between horses, carried wide, went wider, everything. I can't see how you could watch that race and bet Rich Strike over Mo Donegal. So that's that, okay? To me, we the people, okay, a sealed, fast track like that, wet track, you get runaway winners all the time, okay, over those kind of racetracks. You see it all the time. Then they come back on a fast track and they get hammered. A friend of mine who I respect, has got a good opinion, says, well, aren't you afraid that we the people just kind of waltzes on the lead and, goes wire to wire? I said, no, I'm really not. I think that Mo Donegal will run him down, even if he's on the lead by himself the whole way. Now, there were two myths that I feel like I debunked going into the Derby and the Preakness. One, a lot of people were saying that to win the Derby, you got to be 1-2 ever since they changed the earnings to the point system. I said, BS, okay? You don't have to be. Rich Strike was not 1-2, all right? He came from well off the pace. I think that validated that. And I interviewed Mike Smith on the YouTube show before the Derby, and I asked him, I said, Mike, you won the Derby on a lead or close to the lead at Justify. You won from the clouds on Giacomo. You've ridden in a lot of Derbies. Do you have to be 1-2 since they changed the point system? He agreed with me, nonsense. So all the Twitter experts out there and all the statisticians out there that tell you got to be 1-2, they'll tell you the same thing about Pimlico. It's a speed favoring track. Okay, I loved early voting in the Preakness. Those of you that know and follow me know that. I made two major wagers this year. Big bets. One was on Zandon in the Bluegrass where he won. The other was on early voting in the Preakness where he won. My third one might be Mo Donegal. That's how strong I feel. But the Belmont, they're saying now, okay, Pimlico is not a speed favoring track. I interviewed John Velasquez from the jockey room on Preakness Day. In the jockey room, was nice enough to give me an interview. It's on Past the Wire TV. I asked him, is that true? Is Pimlico a speed? No. Trip and pace is what make some tracks are speed favoring, okay? Some configurations are. The mile and a 16th short turn Oaklawn races, short stretch races, and the Gulfstream Park mile and 16th short stretch races, they favor speed. It's just tough to get up there. But Pimlico is not a speed favoring track. Horses have won the Preakness from all over the race course, okay? It happened this year to go wire to wire, but they don't have to be. The Belmont, they're saying, oh, you got to be close to win the Belmont. I've been to a lot of Belmonts. I've been watching the Belmont since I'm 5 years old, okay? I've seen horses win it from all over the racetrack, okay? Temperance Hill, out of the clouds, okay? Any given Saturday doesn't only apply to, any given Sunday doesn't only apply to the NFL. Any given Saturday, any given day, pace and trip can determine what happens. So to think, to not bet a horse because he's a deep closer at Belmont, in the Belmont Stakes. Now, horse physiology will tell us that a horse that's a strong closer at 1.125 miles, that doesn't automatically mean at 1.25 miles or 1.5 miles, he's going to be that same strong closer. A lot of times they're a little more tired. They don't have that same punch. So it's not an automatic that, more distance is going to help a closer. No. And a lot of times a speed horse will be helped by a longer distance, which you may not think so. You think it's more time because the horse is trying to catch him are tired. He's tired, but he's in front, and horses are herd animals. So if we're all tired, but I'm already in front of you, I got a better shot to beat you because I'm fighting to hold on and you're fighting to catch me. So if we're both exhausted, I got the edge. And that's why you see those things happen. And it's more than a bias thing. Okay. It's really, trip and pace and how the thing unfolds. But we the people, if you subtract that monster race on a sealed wet track in the Peter Pan against not really that good horses, what has he done? Okay. He tanked in the Arkansas Derby. I don't know why. Do you? Maybe you do. I don't. The two other races at Oakland Park, yeah, they were nice races. Who'd he beat? Nobody. Not impressed. Pratt, 2-1. I hope he's the favorite. I hope everybody bets him. Uh, don't like him. I like Mo Donegal. Okay. Skippy Longstocking. Don't like him. Okay. Might get a piece. He's a closer, can maybe get a piece. I'm going to single Mo Donegal. But let's say you put a gun to my head and you said, John, the rules of the game are you have to use two horses. You can't single. You have to put somebody else in. I would throw Nesta Philly in just because. I think Pletcher's going to win the Belmont. I think he's going to win it with Mo Donegal. But if he doesn't win it with Mo Donegal, I would take the Philly. He's won it with a Philly before. She's in there for a reason. A lot of people thought she was a super horse going into the Kentucky Oaks. Secret Oath annihilated her. But maybe it just wasn't her day. Belmont's her home track. Broke her maiden first time out, going a mile on the 16th at Belmont. Not really an easy thing to do. She can run, so she would be the next one that I would throw in. But I'm not gonna, because nobody's got a gun to my head, at least not yet. And there's no rule I know of that says I have to use two, so I'm using Mo Donegal. Rich Strike, like I said, I watched the replay of the Derby 3 times, trying to figure out why am I wrong? What am I missing? I can't see it. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It won't be the first time I've been humbled by a racehorse, okay? And it's certainly, let's hope, it won't be the last. Horses humble everybody at some point, but the way I see it, you can't bet Rich Strike over Mo Donegal if you watch the replay. Can't do it. Creative Minister, tracking trips horse, interesting horse. I always knew he had talent. I still think he does. I think Brian Hernandez is a very underrated big race rider. I don't think he's got the seasoning Mo Donegal has. I don't think he's as good as Mo Donegal. Got a shot. I wouldn't talk you out of him. You know what I mean? I'm not going to use him. I like Mo Donegal. I think he's sitting on a big race. I think he was dead game to run down early voting, who I think is a really, really good horse. Preakness winner now. The Holy Bull, that was that short stretch race I was talking about at Gulfstream Park where they finished the mile on the 16th or whatever. It's just a ridiculous configuration for an off-the-pace horse. He was coming off the layoff off that hard-fought Remsen win over Zandon, who we know is one of the better 3-year-olds. He just looks really, really good. Somebody sent me a message, I think on the YouTube channel, when I happened to mention that I was leaning towards Mo Donegal. Somebody asked me, and I said, "Oh, I haven't handicapped the race." But so somebody jumped over, "Oh, when's the last time an Uncle Mo won at a mile and a half?" I don't know. I didn't keep the statistics, but my comment on that is, how often do they run a mile and a half? First of all, and okay, he's out of a pulpit mare. I'm not worried about that at all. I think he's the winner. I really do. I'm hoping. Now, here's where, maybe I'm going to sound like I'm nuts. And most of you that know me know that I am, but might not be about this. I think that Mo Donegal is going to be the favorite. I don't think it's going to be We the People. I'm hoping it's We the People, and I'm hoping the morning line is right. But my gut tells me Mo Donegal is going to be the favorite. The smart money is going to go to Mo Donegal. The late money is going to go to Mo Donegal. The sharp money is going to go to Mo Donegal. My money is going to go to Mo Donegal. So I got a feeling he's going to be the favorite. Hopefully I'm wrong. Golden Glider, I don't think is this good. Barber Road. I respect this John Ortiz guy. He's got my attention. He's worked his way onto my radar. I like Raylu Gutierrez, but it's a major jockey switch to Joel Rosario. There's no question about it. But I don't think he's beating me with Mo Donegal. So that's it. So I got a little room, maybe less room than I think, because if Mo Donegal is the favorite, then I don't have as much room as I thought. But I got those 2 stands to close out. So it gives me a little room to go a little deeper in some of those other races. So that's really how I see those 6 races. I think there's opportunity. I think, in the 10th race, there's definitely a nice bet for me. I think Modonegal is a nice bet for me, especially if I get 5-2 or 3-1 or something, ridiculous like that. If I can get lucky and beat 1 or 2 of those favorites or get a bomb in that turf race, I've got 3 or 4 bombs that could maybe win that Jaipur for me. I've got possibilities in the multi-race wages, and I got individual race possibilities. So to say there's no opportunity because of the field sizes, to me, is just an incorrect statement. And I think if nothing else, I demonstrated that at least. For the Cowboy players in the long run, they're all going to lose anyway. No Cowboy player wins money on a yearly basis, even with the 1 or 2 ridiculous big tickets that they'll hit. They still don't win, and they don't make it count. And it will drown you out. And I'll go back to a story I told on one of the other seminars. Some of you will remember it. I don't remember the particulars, but a friend of mine one day loved the horse. He's a Cowboy player. I fight with him all the time over it. Okay. Loves a horse. Okay. Winds up betting an expensive $600-700 pick 5. Okay. Hits it, pays like $6,000, $7,000, some big number. Okay. Breaks me. See, look at my ticket. I hit it for 6,000. If I'd bet your way, I probably wouldn't have had it. I said, no. All right. You think you won 6,000. Okay. The horse you loved was in this race, right? You used 2 horses in that race and bet 600. I would have bet it for $1 and used only the horse I loved. You loved the horse. So you think you won 6,000. I think you lost 6,000. You should have collected 12,000 for the same investment. But you didn't. You collected 6. You lost 6,000. You left 6,000 on the table. And at the end of the year, on that $500 investment, that's going to cost you. Okay. And I guarantee you in the long run, I'm right. If you bet that way, even if you hit that one $40,000 pick 5 because you bet an $800 50-cent ticket, you're like, oh, look at this. I never would have hit this if I didn't bet that way. That's true. But then you know what happens? You start betting more of those $800 pick 5s. And at the end of the year, that 40,000 is gone and you ain't got a thing to show for it because you lost it all back. It happens to every one of those players over time. May take a month, may take 6 months, may take 9 months. But if that's how you play, you're dead. You're dead in the water. It's like the Abbott and Costello stick. They're off, the race is over, you lose. You got no shot. No shot. So with that, I know we didn't go that long today. A little over an hour. Some of these get long, I know. I have a tendency to talk a lot, but I'm passionate. I love the game. I love to share the knowledge. So, we can now move to the Q&A, and I see, okay, John, did you see the size of the field in the 7th race at Belmont today? Yes, I did. I commented that that race, it was don't overthink it. It come down to the 1 and the 4. One of them was going to win. Nobody else had a shot, and I was right. I could lose a race like that though sometimes. Let me see. There was another question here. Okay, John, the question about losses. When you were wagering for a living, how did you manage extended losses, especially when you relied on this for a living? What strategies do you suggest? I wrote a column about it. There's a column about it. I wish I could remember the name of it. It was about dealing with extended losses and having a horrible one happen to me in the Oaklawn handicap. Here's what you gotta do, okay? And it was very, very tough for me because I played for a living and I didn't have a lot of money at times. I mean, whatever I had was in my drawer, in my pocket, you know what I mean? And it could be 1,000, it could be 5,000, could be 50 or 100,000. But if I didn't win, I didn't eat, okay? I had bad credit. I had to pay cash for everything because back then it wasn't like today. I had a condo that I owned, but I missed mortgage payments, no question about it. I fell behind maintenance payments. Um, it was just the life that I chose. Eventually, I built up enough of a bankroll where I had enough of a cushion to sustain myself. And you know how you handle those losses is you don't chase, you don't panic. All right. There was a time, and I've explained this on some of these seminars before, so I don't mean to bore anybody, but I used to be a big pick six player and hit some very big ones. But there was a time I gravitated from to the pick six when the pick four was a $2 wager at Naira. Okay. And all I would bet back then, okay, was the late pick four. It was a $2 bet, and I would bet 1,500 a day. Okay. And I had a bankroll back then. I had maybe 100, 120,000, whatever it is. But I had a nice cushion, so I could afford to do that comfortably. I would go to the track, I would watch all the early races, and I would wait for the late pick four. And I would have my ticket, and whatever it was, okay, I would bet 1,500. So some days, you know, if I used every horse I like, I had it for, you know, if I was a deep spread day, I had to pick four for maybe $20. Maybe I had it for 50. Some days I had it for 100. Some days I had it for 200. Okay. You know, it depended how many horses I had to use to feel comfortable. All right. I always tried to cut and always tried to not go deeper than I had to. But my point is the losses. Okay. I get knocked out in the first leg. Let's say I had a single in the third leg. All right. I just lost 1,500. I would watch the races. I would take my notes, watch the races. I didn't chase the 1,500. And it is so hard, okay, to mentally have the discipline to do that, because your immediate reaction is you want to win back that 1,500. How could I not bet my single? He's 3-1. No, I had a system and a methodology, and I knew I could sustain myself and pay my bills doing it because I built up that cushion. So my budget was 1,500 a day. My bet was the late pick four. It was $2. They killed that whole thing when they changed it to 50 cents. Then I had to gravitate again. Okay. So you got to adapt and move. But Peter Papagiorgio, any strong opinions for tomorrow? Where did you just join, Peter? I love you. We've been on there for a long time, but did you just join? Because I just went over my strong opinions. So yes, I have strong opinions. I love Mo Donegal. I love Adamo. I like Clairiere, but I don't want to say that it's a strong opinion as the others. And I like a couple of bombs in the eighth, but you'll get the replay. So you'll get the replay. Oh, tomorrow. I'm sorry, Peter. My bad. Smack. I'm sorry. You have been here. Where have I been? Like, I'm getting old. Cut me a little slack. No, I got no good opinions for tomorrow. I got strong opinions. I think I could ride Rogier and win. I don't think that means anything. I'm about 200 pounds. I think I could ride Rogier and win, and I haven't ridden a horse since I was 16 years old. And I didn't even know the difference between a Western and an English saddle, found out the hard way. But no, I'm really going to focus on Saturday. I don't have any strong opinions tomorrow. I mean, Jackie's Warrior, who's going to beat him going 3/4 of a mile, obviously. So no, I'm all in on Saturday and all in on those two that I like. What horse race did I make my biggest win bet on ever? And what's your favorite car I've ever owned? My favorite car I ever owned, okay, and I've had a couple of Ferraris. My favorite car I ever owned is the car I have now. Well, one of the cars I have now it's a Maserati Quattroporte. Love it. It's a 4-door luxury Ferrari. Don't believe anything else. You press that button, it growls like nothing else. I get more compliments on it than any car I have ever had. And it drives and rides better than any machine I've ever driven. And I've driven them all, from Porsches to Ferraris, even a Lamborghini once. I had a Lamborghini. I don't know how anybody buys a Lamborghini, okay? The worst exotic car in the world. Okay, sounds great, looks great. A lot of girls will like it. But if you don't want to drive like this, And I'm talking about the Countach. They don't make it anymore. But if you don't want to drive like this and you're taller than 5'6" or 5'7", don't buy a Lamborghini because your head is going to hit the ceiling. All right. You don't fit. You got to be a short guy. It's great for a jockey. It's great. I'm a little over 6 feet. I had to drive. I'm like, I can't buy this car. I test drove. I'm like, this is not going to work for me. Am I going to drive like this? Guy tells me, well, a lot of people have the seat removed and then remove the bolts of the seat and put special. I says, you think I'm going to buy a car for this kind of money, pull out the seats and have to have them rebolted in? Next, no good. Maserati Quattroporte, love it, love it. Questions? I'm ready. Okay, if we got none, I'm ready to go have dinner too. So that's fine. Couple of things I will say. Is it paddle shift? Yes, it is, but I never use the paddle shifters. Never. I won't say never, very rarely. And let me tell you, it'll do 150, 160 miles an hour and you won't even know it. It's bigger than a Mercedes S-Class. People don't realize that. It's actually bigger than the big Mercedes S-Class, but like I said, it's got a Ferrari engine in it. Ferrari builds the engine and it's just like, it's awesome car. The only negative about it that I'll say is when you bring it in for service, bring a check. I think Echo Zulu is a lock. I did look at that race. And I thought he was a lock. I thought she was a lock. I thought, drawn on the outside, going a flat mile, I can't get past her. I'm probably not going to bet those early races. I'm going to wait for that late pick six and those late races to fire. To play a pick six in a $2 increment seems difficult to do. How long did it take you to handicap pick six? I'm a slow handicapper, Darryl. I really am. It takes me 4 or 5 hours to do a card, especially now because I watch a lot of replays. Okay. I used to be a big sheet guy. I'm not anymore. I like formulator. I do look at Thorograph. I plug the Thorograph numbers into my formulator, but I'm a big replay guy and take notes. I trust my eyes more than anything that anybody else is anything anybody else is going to tell me. I trust my own trip notes, my own observations. So when I watch a replay, I like to watch it a day or two after the race. Like I said, I watched the Derby 3 times just watching Mo Donegal. There's other horses in the race. So like these other races I watched the replays sometimes 3 or 4 times because I'll watch a different horse all the way around. I decided on the pick 4 from the pick 6 reluctantly, Nina, because when they started the pick 4, the late pick 4, and they changed it to 50 cents, the pick 6 wasn't getting the pools anymore. Used to be on a non-carryover day at NYRA, the pick 6 started with 125,000, 100,000. You don't see that anymore. So I had to gravitate to the pick 4. Any thoughts on the Acorn or the Just a Game? Yes, the Just a Game. I think Speak of the Devil is a monster, just like Rogier. I think I could probably ride her and she can win. The Acorn, somebody asked me that already. I thought, Echo Zulu, the draw kind of leads me there. That outside draw with Rosario is just tough to get past for me. I think we see the old Echo Zulu on Saturday. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate, everybody that follows. I try and, let me understand, you play the size of the pool. I mean, how much money in the pool? Yeah, the pools don't, Nina, the pick 6 pools don't have as much money in them as they used to. Because they're diluted. Everybody now is playing the pick 4 and the pick 5, so there's no money in the pick 6 pool. And now most of them are those jackpot bets, which I don't get involved in at all, unless it's a mandatory payout day. And even then, I'm a little reluctant. So, now NYRA has the $1 pick 6, which I like better than the 20-cent, and it's not a jackpot. But even still, you look at it on a non-carryover day, there's 40,000 in there. I want 400,000 in there, or at least 100 or 200,000 in there. Picking 6 winners is hard. If there's no money in the pool, it's not worth it. You're better off betting the pick 4 or the pick 5. and investing less and having a better shot because it's one less race. So, there are days I'll try and be sneaky when there's like 200 in there, or like not a big carryover to get people's attention, but a 1 or 2 day carryover. And I know a lot of the sharks might not be going after it. And I can put together a reasonable ticket and bet it for $1. And, my ticket has a chance to, take it down. I'll go after it. It could be a day to zig when everyone else is zagging. I have a tendency to do that. That's true. And it pays off. You don't have to be right a lot when you do it that way. You know what I mean? So will I single the last 3 races of the pick 6? I'm definitely singling the last 2. I'm singling Adamo and I'm singling Modano. I can't get my arm around Flightline. I don't know yet. That's going to be a game time decision. I explained it as best I could. On paper, I can't see him getting beat. He's too fast for these. That would be my comment. If I wrote like that thing for the racing form, how to give a comment, my comment would be too fast for these. But he's got nicks in the armor. He's not a sound horse. I don't want those kind of questions when I'm singling a horse. So I don't know what I'm going to do with Flightline. I really don't. I don't have the confidence in him. Everybody you hear on social media, oh, monster, monster, monster. Yeah, if he finishes the race, he is. If his feet don't start hurting him after 3/4 and 108 and change, or 7/8 and 120, and a couple of ticks, yeah, then he's probably a monster. But what if they do? He's probably able to train on medications that he's not going to be able to run on. That's just common sense. We know that. Okay. It's a reality. So is Sadler going to be able, and the vet going to be able to give him something that, gets him through the race? Is he feeling good now where he doesn't need any help? Those are all maybes. I hate taking maybes on a 2 to 5 shot, but I may have to, because on paper, I can't get past him. And I certainly don't want to not bet him. And I certainly wouldn't bet him and use a couple of other horses. So I either got to single him, or I got to use the 2, 3, and 4 and not use them. So it's a dilemma for me. You know what I mean? I'm probably going to wind up singling him. Yeah. And if he gets beat, just know I got my other 2 horses. I could bet a big double, Adamo into Modanago, and Adamo to win. And this way I'm home, or something like that. You know what I mean? If Adamo gets home, I don't even have to worry about that Modanago. And if he doesn't, I could still come back with Modanago, because my strongest opinions are those last 2 races. Yeah, I wish we could lay eyes on him too. But let me tell you something, Alan. He looks great. I watched his workouts looking for something off, looking to find something, saying, I see something that nobody's talking about, because people on TV, they're not going to tell you. Xbox, they tell you every horse looks great. Every horse works great. And I'll trust my own eyes. I looked for something in his workouts that could make me say, you know what? I'm going to outsmart everybody and bet against him and leave him out. I didn't see it. I wish I did. I was so sure going into this week that I was going to be against him. And then when I got the PPs and I watched his workouts and I opened all of them, I'm like, how do I go out? What am I doing here? You know what I mean? I don't want to be a contrarian just to be a contrarian. I want to win. And I may have to eat it with him. I don't know, but I could say this. I'm not going to be sitting back watching that race saying, this is going to be easy. I'm going to be worried every step of the way. Even if he's got 3 or 4 lengths turning for home and Pratt's under wraps and everybody's running to the window to cash their tickets, I will still be a little concerned until he crosses the wire. That's just me. Does Blondie play the horses, or is she just your biggest fan? My wife tolerates my... No, she does not play the horses. She used to like the sport a lot more. She is a big time animal lover. And for those of you that don't know, I am very involved in rescue. Some horses and a lot of dogs. I devote a big portion of my life to saving animals and working with abused animals and stuff like that. And I have 9 dogs myself. 8 of them are rescues. One of them is a champion Rottweiler, Mac. You may have seen his picture. But no, she doesn't like the sport as much as she used to, and tolerates it because she's aware of what goes on in the sport, and she doesn't like the fact that horses wind up going to slaughter and there's billionaires playing this game. That should never happen, and I agree with her. She doesn't believe in race day medication at all. She thinks if a horse needs medication to run or Lasix to not bleed, then they should not be racing. I can't really argue those points. I love the game, but I don't disagree with her, and I quietly and behind the scenes do what I can to try and help and make things better. Uh, there are issues in our sport with how we treat the animals. A lot of people treat them really, really well, but you're only as strong as your weakest link, and there are people who don't treat them well, and we can't even afford to have one of those kind of people in the sport, as far as I'm concerned. Uh, and it's just unfortunate. Yeah, no, I rescued greyhounds. We just lost a dog we tried to save the other day, a little puppy um, that we tried to save. We saved one, and then the second one we just couldn't save. He had parvo, and I felt so bad. It really, really broke my heart because we made a makeshift hospital here in the house, and we had him on IVs, and he was a little 10-week-old Shih Tzu whose owners abused him and didn't treat him right, and then abandoned him to die when he had parvo because they didn't want to spend any money on him. So we took him in, and I would look at his little eyes every day and I'm like, you're going to get better. You're going to get better. We got you on fluids. And, I kind of promised him he was going to get better, and he just didn't turn the corner. And after 1 or 2 days, Blondie told me, she goes, if he didn't turn the corner yet, it looks really bad. He's probably got a blockage inside, and he just didn't get any better. And, the first 2 or 3 days, we'd get a little tail wag and a little smile, and he was fighting. He wanted to make it so bad. And I was promising he would. But he didn't. And when he didn't turn the corner, and then eventually we stopped getting the tail wag and just got like the sad eyes, like, help me, please. And, we had to put him to sleep. And that one really, really got to me because, like I said, I promised him he was going to make it. And, we've got 9 dogs. And so now what we'll do is we'll foster, we'll cure them, we'll work with them, we'll make them adoptable. And we have people that we work with that are really very strict adopters. They go to the people's houses, they make sure they're okay, they're really, really good. We microchip the dogs, we make sure we know if they ever get anything happens, they get returned to us. But I promised, okay, we won't keep any more. I got 9. I don't want to become a hoarder. But this little guy, I promised him, like, if you get better, I'm going to keep you no matter what Blondie says, but don't tell her that. And he was just looking at me, and it killed me, man. It really killed me. And I've seen a lot. I have lost a lot of faith in humanity over what I've seen and what I see on a weekly basis happen to animals and people do to animals. And, I used to be, I don't want to know. I don't want to see this. I don't want to deal with this stuff. I don't want, I can't handle it, and Blondie convinced me. She's like, no, she goes, we have to be the ones that do it because it's easy to take that route. It's easy to say no, and shield your eyes from it and not look. But if everybody does that, then who helps these poor animals? So sadly, I don't have that luxury, but it kills me a little every day, and it wears on me a lot. But I'm committed to it, and I'm not going to stop doing it because somebody's got to do it. So, and then I get people on social media that tell me, "Oh, I support cheaters and guys that kill horses," and it makes me laugh because they just don't know no better. That's not what I'm about. That's not what I do. When I take an opinion that may appear like that to the average person who doesn't know me, no, I don't support anybody who does anything bad or hurts any animal. Okay. What I also don't support is unequal or unfair treatment or selective enforcement. I don't say it. I'm not okay with scapegoating and punishing one guy because you don't like him or he got under your skin or whatever the case may be, but letting another guy get away with the same or worse. That's what I'm against. And people take that as, oh, well, you're supporting the guy who did this or the guy who did that. No, I'm not. I'm supporting, get them all out. If you know somebody's doing something wrong, prove it. Get them out. And racetracks don't even have to prove it. You tell me now, does anybody know why Santa Anita really ruled off Jerry Hollendorfer? I don't, and I'm pretty well plugged into the game. But he's gone and soon to get back in. They ever come out why? So they can tell anybody they want, you know what? You're not welcome here anymore. You're out. No stalls. You can't race here. All right. They have that right on them. Do they do it? No. Why? Because everybody says it's all about the horse. Bullshit. It's all about the money. It's all about the field size and the handle. They could have thrown everybody knew on the backside that Jason Service and Jorge Navarro were cheating. Okay. They didn't need a reason to, they could have said, you know what? We don't have to catch you. You're out. No stalls, no entries. We're not taking. They didn't. They waited till the FBI came in and actually arrested them. And how that whole thing happened was by accident. Someday the real story of how that whole investigation came down and they got arrested will come out. And it was accident. It never would, might have never happened had it not been for other events that led to that. So they were not the original targets of that by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm glad it happened, and I hope it continues to happen, and we continue to police the game. But I agree that horses shouldn't have to run on medication. I don't know how realistic that is. You know, they are athletes, but I believe more in giving them time to recuperate and not having to run. I mean, I grew up, Lasix was illegal in New York. Now every horse is on Lasix or they'll bleed. Why? What happened in the past, 30, 40 years? It wasn't that way back then. Nobody was on Lasix. It was illegal in New York. If you had to run on Lasix back then, you were considered a second stringer. You had to ship to like the Meadowlands or Monmouth. You were considered a second stringer, and you could never win a grade 1, and you could never be an Eclipse champion. And back then the Eclipse meant something. Today it doesn't. So what changed? I don't know, but we went wrong in a lot of areas. Is HISA going to be the answer? I don't know the answer to that. I'm hoping they make a positive impact. Stay tuned. Did you hear I like Rogier on Friday? Yes, I do. I think Rogier, my comment was, I think I could ride Rogier and win, and I'm 100 pounds and don't know how to ride. So, yeah, I think Rogier is pretty nice filly. They bought her for 2.2 million, and they bought the other one, Speak of the Devil, for 1.2 million at the same time, and brought them both here, and they both won very impressively first time out in the country anyway. So hey, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for your time. I hope I didn't bore anybody too much. If we got no other questions, we can wrap it up. Everybody's going to get a replay. Those of you that were on can just trash it. Those of you that missed it, you'll get it. And that's that. So thank you all. We're going to do, here's what's going to happen. So, I'm going to do another couple of free seminars. Okay. Probably Travers Day, the Super Saturday at Belmont, a couple of others. The only other one this year that'll be a paid one will be the Breeders' Cup. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep a list of everybody that was on this one. And before the Breeders' Cup one announcement comes out, I'll send all of you a list with like an invite for like a discounted rate of the regular rate that's going to be published on the website, just to thank you all for coming on and participating and supporting me and the website. I appreciate it all. I know who all of you are by name. Believe it or not, I've got a good memory over the years. I know the people out there that have my back and appreciate the work that I put into this. I do, and I appreciate all of you, and I really do for all of you, because I am passionate about the game, and I want to see people succeed. I did it for a long time. Fortunately, I don't have to play for a living anymore, and I'll be the first to admit that it's much tough. It was always very, very tough. Don't get me wrong, and it took a lot of sacrifices to even have a chance. But it's tougher today than it was because of cheating, more sharks in the water, more information available to everybody, the computer players that are just cannibalizing pools. I didn't have to deal with a lot of that stuff then. There were less sharks in the water, less information. People ask me why I love the European races so much. because there's less information. And somebody who's been around a long time like me and experienced, I feel like I have an edge when there's less information. Okay. I watch those replays. I take my notes. The form just tells you where the horse started and where the horse finished. You know what I mean? And those people don't know anything, so gives you a little bit of an edge. So I love the Euro races. I'm not going to Saratoga this year. I'm going to the Breeders' Cup. I decided against Saratoga this year. I used to go every year. I used to go for the whole meet. Saratoga has changed a lot. I still love it. I still think it's a great meet. It's not as good a meet as it used to be. And the town has just become so commercialized, and the track has just become so commercialized that if you went there in the glory days of racing all the time, like I did, it's just not the same. Every year I wind up leaving like disappointed, like it's not what it was. So I said, you know what, this year I'm just staying home with my dogs and Blondie. And, every time I go away, I always miss my dogs. I always miss her. I'm a homebody now. I'm pathetic when it comes to the pandemic. The pandemic, you want to hear the sad thing? It hardly changed my life at all. I never go out anyway. You know what I mean? it's like, and I'm like a germaphobe, clean freak anyway. So hardly changed my life at all. You know what I mean? I wore a mask. That was really the only difference. Which I liked because nobody knew who I was. So I even liked that. So it's, no Saratoga, but the Breeders' Cup, I'll go for a week. I'm going to spend a week in Lexington. So I'm going to go to the Breeders' Cup. I'll be there. I love to say hello to anybody who's there. And I go to Gulfstream a few times during the year because it's not that far of a ride. You know what I mean? Right across the state. I'm on the other side of the state, but I'll still go there for the big days. I used to go every day. Am I playing in the BCBC? For years I've said there's a BCBC with my name on it, and I want to win it just because I know I can. I can't get myself to play in the qualifiers. So if I play, I'm going to have to buy in for the 10,000. And I'm always on the verge of doing it every year. And I always decide against it the last minute because I don't like one aspect of the rules. First off, there's people that play in teams, and I know you're not allowed to collaborate, but they do. Okay. And I know who they are and I know who they do. And you got 3 or 4 guys that are playing together. Okay. And what they'll do is, and they'll give us an edge. Like, let's just say, okay, you, Michael, Nick, and Robin, and me, we're all partners. So we got a $7,500 bankroll, all of us, right? So what we'll do is I say, okay, Robert, you're up first. Okay. Now we know whoever wins is going to split. Okay. Robert, your first play, go all in on 7,500 on a nice price horse. You do it. If you win, you're way out in front. You got an edge. Okay. Next race comes up. Okay. I do it. If I win, I got an edge. Next race, Michael, you do it. If one of us loses, we don't care because the next guy's up. So you got 4 chances to get out to an unsurmountable lead, okay? Because 7,500, nobody does that early, okay? And I always get the list of who plays and whatnot and how they structure their wages, and I know who's friends with who and you could spot it. An actual winner of the contest who doesn't play in it anymore told me, this is why I stopped. This is what goes on. And they showed me in black and white how to spot it. And I'm like, yeah, I see it. That's not why I don't play, because I'd like to beat those jerks anyway. And I think I could. Why I don't play is the mandatory wager rule. If they changed it where I could go with my 7,500 and bet anything I want, even no pick 6s and no pick 4s. I know they don't want that because they want the churn. But if I don't have to make a $500 minimum bet on 4 races, and I could go in and say, you know what? I'm betting my 7,500 on like say it was tomorrow, it was Saturday. I could bet my 7,500 on a Damo. Okay. I don't have to make 5 bets on Friday and Saturday and have 2,000 to bet on a Damo. I could bet my 7,500 on a Damo, 500 to win, a $2,000 exacta, and a $500 triple. Boom. I hit that bet. You're not beating me. But, 100 grand wins that contest every year. 100, 110, 90, 115. I could do that with 7,500. Take my shot. If Dunbar Road wins the Breeders' Cup distaff last year, I win twice that. okay, off a less bet than 7,500. But you can't play that way. So every year I'm about to do it, I'm like, you know what? If I have a big day, I'll win just as much. I just won't get the glory of the title and be able to say, see, I knew I could win this thing. But someday I may give in and do it. I've had people offer to back me. I said, listen, I've had people come to me and say, I'll give you the 7,500 and we split the winnings. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't feel like it's fair to you. And I don't even feel like it's fair to me, because if I want to play, I'll put up the 7,500 myself, which will close on this fun Pete Rose story for all the baseball players and fans out there. Okay. When I used to go to Gulfstream every day, I had the same table, the old Gulfstream, not the new one, had the same table in this little enclave in the restaurant. I used to walk in the Gulfstream restaurant on the first floor of the clubhouse, and it was trackside. And right behind the maitre d' stand, it was like a little private area, okay, a little like enclave. I had my same table there every day, okay. Murray Durst, the guy that owns Little Lad, used to sit at the other table. My dear friend Joe from Buffalo passed away, used to sit at the other table. And the other table they would give to whoever, and Pete Rose used to sit there a lot, okay. So, and that's when I was a pick six player, okay, and everybody knew it. And I was one of the bigger bettors at Gulfstream Park at the time, and everybody that kind of knew me and knew who I was, okay. And back then there was no social media or nothing like that. I was very reserved. I didn't tell nobody who I liked. I didn't talk to anybody. I was all business, game face on at the track to make money. That was my living, right? So there was a big carryover at Gulfstream one day. Pete Rose shows up, okay. Pete used to sit at the table with his girlfriend with a stack of hundreds on the table, 50, 60,000. Some days he would lose it all and come back, cash a check and come back with more. He had a big bankroll, owned a restaurant in Boca Raton, not far from Gulfstream at the time, Pete's Dugout, whatever the heck the name of it was. So he knew who I was. He knew I was a good pick six player. So he comes to the track that day. There's a carryover, sits at the table, comes over, says, I want to talk to you, and sits down. He goes, listen, he goes, I'll bankroll the pick six. You pick the horses. I'll put up the money and we'll split it. I said, thanks, Pete. I appreciate the offer, but no, I'm going to just bet it on my own. He goes, why? Well, why not? He goes, I'll put up all the money. Why? You don't got to risk nothing. I says, it's not about the risk. It's about, I plan on hitting it. I want to hit it. And if I do, I don't mean no disrespect. I love you. I think you should be in the Hall of Fame. You're one of my favorite players ever, but I don't want to give you half of the pick six if I win it. He goes, but I'll put up all the money. I'm like, no, I understand how the math of it works. But I have the money to bet my ticket in my pocket. Why do I need your money to give you half of it? It doesn't make sense to me. He goes, well, it's putting up the money. You're at no risk. I'm like, no, I'm at a risk. I'm at a risk of losing half of whatever the pick six pays. Goes, all right, I think it's a shitty attitude. That's what you want to do. He goes, I'll put my own ticket in. I'm like, okay. I don't remember all the sequence, but I remember Unite's Big Red won the feature with Jorge Chavez at a big price. And I hit the pick six, okay? And it paid 126,000. And he got mad at me. And to this day, never spoke to me again. When we come to the track, all I would get from Pete Rose was a dirty look. It was a dirty look and some whispers. And just he didn't get it. You know what I mean? And if he's out there listening, I know he lives in Vegas now. You probably remember the story. Might say he didn't, but that's exactly what happened. There were witnesses. They're still alive. He got mad at me because I wouldn't let him bankroll the pick six, and I wound up hitting it. And it was the day I could look it up and tell you it was had to be the early 90s or mid 90s or late 90s. Unite's Big Red won the stake with Jorge Chavez. That's all I remember about the sequence. And it paid like 126, 121,000, something like that. Pete got pissed off at me. What could I tell you? But that was my logic. You know what I mean? I needed it. When I won, I needed the money. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't afford to give him half the money just because he put up the ticket. I hit it. I think my ticket cost like $576. I needed him to put up the $576. I didn't, so got mad at me. So Pete probably still mad at me. Well, his mind, he probably thinks I owe him 60-something thousand, but I don't. So anyway, a pleasure, everybody. Someday I should do a seminar like this and just tell you stories like this about the track. I got stories you would not believe about things that have happened like that at the racetrack over the years. But no, Charlie Hustle, man, he didn't get it. And I love him. One of my, yeah. How do you not love him as a player? He was so, Charlie Hustle, man. But he got mad at me. I wouldn't tell him I wouldn't let him bankroll the pick six, man.
You want Coke?
Huh? I'm gonna do a free seminar with stories one day. I got stories you wouldn't believe. The best one. I wrote an article about it. It's on Past the Wire, called "The Book, the Horse, and the Aftermath." You got to read that. It's unbelievable story. I had to change and alter it a little bit because like Dragnet, the names were changed to protect the innocent. So I had to do that in order to tell it. One of the best stories ever is the shirt money story. Very, very, very. You want one more good story? It's a funny one. I'll give it to you. You got the all right. There was a very, very, very well-known gangster, like front page gangster, that used to go to the racetrack, took a liking to me, and one day says, "What are you doing here? You got to. I gamble. That's what I do. You can't really do that. You got to have something you make money on." He goes, "After the race, I want you to come with me." Okay. After the races, I go with him, and I'm not going to say who he is because it's just not the right thing to do. And he's not alive anymore anyway, but it's still not the right thing to do. So but he's very famous. Everybody here would know who he was if I did say. Takes me to a garage not far from Aqueduct. All right, opens it up, and there's boxes and boxes of Jordache jeans, which were very popular back then, and Ralph Lauren polo shirts with the emblem on it. He goes, "Open up your car." Load up my car with as many shirts and jeans as you could possibly fit in the back seat, in the trunk, and the passenger seat. I could barely see out of the car. I could only see straight ahead. I had nothing but the stomach. He goes, "I got to get $10 a shirt and $8 a pair of jeans." He goes, "The rest you sell." I'm like, okay. I go back to my neighborhood in Brooklyn. I used to hang out in a park, Bedford Park. I started selling them there, blah, blah, blah. I grew up in like a tenement type of building that had an intercom. Within like 2 days, my intercom would ring. I'm looking for the guy with the shirts. I'll be right down. Going down, selling shirts, 20, 25. Everybody's wearing Ralph Lauren shirts, polo all over the neighborhood, wearing Jordache jeans, all right? Doing this for a couple of weeks. Turns into a couple of months. I'm giving him the money, boom, boom, boom. Everything's going great. Before you know it, I'm driving a brand new white Cadillac with the red leather interior, high cuisine car in Brooklyn. I'm on top of the world. This guy loves me. Everything's great. So one day I go to races and I got a ton of this guy's shirt money to give him, And there's a horse running. I had just bought the car. So the money that I was making, I was broke, but it didn't matter to me because I would sell more every week. I was making, plenty of money. So I bought the car. I'm broke. I got this guy's shirt money. There's a horse running that I think can't lose. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to bet this horse can't possibly lose this race. Angel Cordero was on the horse. It was an Angel Penna horse. I bet the horse. It's a grass race, a maiden special weight race. Turning for home. Horse is laying third. Okay. Swings to the outside, explodes, wins by 5. Okay. Just as he crosses the wire, this guy and his entourage come up the second floor of the clubhouse at Belmont, off the escalator, go right to the bar where they used to hang out. And I go right over to them. And I'm like, guys, you're going to think I'm crazy, but you're going to love me. Like what? I'm like, you're not going to believe this. All the shirt and clothes money, I bet it all on a horse. And funny thing is, all of a sudden, the faces got very serious, like they weren't my friends anymore. And like I said, look at all you guys. All right. I bet the money on a horse. We're all partners. He won. Everybody gets you get twice, you're getting twice what you were supposed to get. Look at it. And then right away, you give me the death look, like what I did. The horse won. What are you worried about? Oh, we love this kid. They're hugging me, drinks. Blah, blah, blah. How much did we win? Look, he's 4-1. I bet 2,800, whatever it was. Oh, we love you. We love you. We love you. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have your attention, please? There is a steward's inquiry involving number 4. The faces got long again. They took the horse down. Disqualified. Placed 4th. Guy tells me, come with me. Down the escalator with him and 2 guys that they didn't look that ominous at first, but after this happened, all of a sudden they looked very ominous to me now. So I'm going down the escalator and I got no idea what to expect. All right. So they put me in the car, drive off, secluded place, pull over to the side of the road. And I'm saying, it's 18 years old. I'm going to get killed by gangsters. I mean, like I'm an idiot. How did I possibly get myself into this? I must truly be a degenerate. The guy looks at me and says, do you want to know why you're going to survive this horrible thing that you did with my money? I said, yes. He goes, because you're a good guy. He goes, when that horse won, he goes, a lot of guys would have stayed quiet, would have went downstairs, would have ducked me, would have cashed the ticket, give me my shirt money, and I never would have known. But you didn't do that. You came over and said I was a partner. I never would have known about the bet. You came over and said, we're celebrating. We won. You didn't say I won. You said we won. He goes, and that's why you get a pass. And that's why I know you're a good guy. He goes, now, that's the good part. He goes, the bad part is you're going to pay me every fucking cent back and then some because you're going to learn your lesson. And the long and short of it is I made a very good friend, a dear friend for a long time. And I sold shirts for about 1.5 years without making a nickel because he had some math system that these guys use that doesn't apply to regular people, that I was paying him for so freaking long. I must have paid him 10 times what I lost, but didn't matter. I was breathing, my legs were, I was still walking, I didn't get hurt. And if I ever had a problem, I had a place to go where it was going to be handled, but I never had a problem because everybody knew I had a place to go. So it was long and short of it. Don't bet anybody else's money, especially somebody like that on a horse, because even if it wins, it ain't official till it's official. But like I said, stories like that all over the place. And may he rest in peace. He treated me very, very well, and we had a lot of fun. But I sold a lot of shirts and didn't make any money after that. But I had the car for a long time. It was a nice car. So, hey, what could you do? You know? Anyway, thank you so much. And I'm going to go eat dinner, hang out with my dogs, study a little more tomorrow. I hope you all kill it. If you enjoyed this, throw me some love on social media. I always appreciate it. It always means something. You guys know I got my share of haters out there. Most of them don't know me anyway. And if they do see me at the track in my rare outings, they run the other way for some reason. So whatever. But I appreciate all you guys. I love all you guys. I love the support. I enjoy these shows, and you know, we'll do some more, and let's try and kill him. And if Adamo or Mo Donegal win, you know it's all me. So, but go with your gut. Always go with your gut. Your eyes. I'm your second set of eyes. Bounce off. Go with what you believe. You got to believe in yourself in this game. You know what I mean? I'm not here to sway you. I'm here to try and help you and maybe make you bet a little smaller. But anyway, ciao for now. We'll do it again.
To the best and hope for the best.
Vekoma broke well on the outside, and
but you don't expect to get speed like this.
Inside, Vekoma continues to battle on down in the rail. It is Vekoma who's going to win the Met Mile.
Nobody does it better.